Welcome to the Scale Up, a podcast from the Business Scale Up programme. My name is Hannah Tuckey and I'm one of the business engagement advisors in the programme. The Business Scale Up programme is part funded by ESF, and we have a pot of funding still available this year for you to access training and consultancy, workshops, a number of unlimited offers. So today I'm joined by the incredible Mook from Pro Development, who is one of our brilliant providers in the programme, and we're very proud to have them in our scheme. So today, Michelle, thank you so much for joining.
Pleasure.
So good to have you here. So today we're going to be looking at two separate parts. We're going to be covering some really hot topics right now and probably have been quite key for a lot of businesses for quite some time, really. So we've got employee retention, and then in part two we'll be looking at employee engagement.
Fantastic. Okay. Two of my most favourite subjects.
I know, you'll be able to talk forever.
I'll try not to.
Yeah, let's try and be good. So part one, retention tips. So I guess in the first instance, what would you say is the importance of employee retention, particularly for SMEs and the small businesses that we're looking at in York and North Yorkshire?
Yeah,
if I can get my words out.
And the East Riding. Yeah. It's an interesting area, actually, isn't it? Because it's always been important, has retention. It's something we've worked with clients for 11 years since we set up 11 years ago. But I think definitely in the last couple of years, a real shift. I think COVID, everything that happened over that period, just everything kind of that potentially could become a perfect storm of retention happened, really. And I think some people definitely looked at where they were at, spent time thinking about their purpose through COVID. And I think that's meant a few people now have come out of the market, out of the job market. Lots of people, I think, as well, making a decision to move when it felt right to do so as well. So I think we're in that stage now where recruitment is so challenging. Actually retaining the talent that you've got has probably never been more important. And certainly something we're really encouraging all of our clients to really focus on now, because losing your talent right now could be really, really challenging for people.
And I guess in that sense, it has fallen very much on the employee, hasn't it? It's been said for a good few months now that it's their playing field, really.
Oh, completely. It's an absolute employee-led market at the moment. And I think we haven't had that in the past. It was always very employer-led. And I think there's been a little bit of a wake-up call for a few companies as a result of that, because they're not being able to recruit. And if they're losing people as well, it's causing them real issues. And of course, then you lose some people, and then that makes it more difficult for the people left. So retention becomes even more challenging as well. I think one of the things we're seeing at the moment is people are leaving it till the pain is too great, and it's almost catching it now and probably being more proactive about retention. I think that was probably one of the things that I would say is probably really important at the moment.
That's probably I was just thinking about checking in with what it was pre-COVID, why employee retention was important pre-COVID. And that's probably one of the things, isn't it, is people were leaving it too late. I mean, I know I was probably guilty of leaving things too late, getting to breaking point, and then saying, actually, do you know what, I need some help and I need it now. So that's still just as important as it was before.
Yeah, and I think it's, I guess well-being has become something that we talk about so much more than probably ever before. And I think a lot more people taking ownership for their own well-being, and I think that's why people have made choices that maybe they kind of hung on for a long time before, where actually now they're like, no, actually I'm not doing this anymore, and therefore we're leaving and going and finding different roles. And I think what we're seeing as well is people are looking for something so much different now to what they were looking for before. So seeing people really focusing on work-life balance more than ever before, and it wasn't a real issue in the past, but we've heard stories of clients where they're saying, oh no, we need people in the office. They've got to be in the office now. And people are like, oh right, okay then, bye. I'll go and work for this organisation that are doing hybrid or more flexible working. So that sort of sense of purpose and that flexibility have become really top of people's wish list now. And so businesses in our region have got to really think about that when they're looking at how they're set up and what they're offering to their employees and future candidates.
Yes, definitely. We've had a lot of questions with clients in Scale Up where there's been the marketing conversation is not just about how do I market my products and services, it's about how can I get people in.
Yeah, it's interesting actually. We're running, I'm part of the UK movement Engage for Success. So I've been the area network ambassador for the last few years, and we run a number of free events, and we've got one actually this week, and it's looking at how to become an employer of choice.
Yeah,
how do you really make your company and organisation attractive to other people and to future talent? Because if you keep your great talent, it will actually allow you as well to attract even more great talent, as long as you're really thinking about how is my business set apart from my competitors. We've never really had to think about that before. It's only ever been around our products and services. How do we set ourselves apart? But now we're having to do it for our employees as well, which is a really different, but really exciting as well.
It is exciting. It's also, it's nice that it's become just as important as well.
Yeah. I think it was always, we used to sort of smile sometimes inside when you talk to businesses about, tell us about your vision for your business. And it was always customers, products, and somewhere, if you were lucky, they might mention, and
a bit of culture,
the people and the culture. And whereas now we're actually seeing some organisations, they've got that as their number one.
Yeah.
Quite right too, because we don't have a business without our people.
Exactly. So what are the biggest challenges that businesses are facing, or what are people coming to you and at that point saying, I'm struggling, what am I to do?
There's so many things I think coming up at the moment. I mean, certainly, obviously the fact that they're struggling to recruit is definitely a really major one. So not being able to find the right candidates. And we always say, no body is sometimes better than the wrong body.
Yes.
And we're seeing sometimes people are being pushed to just take a body. And then of course that causes no end of challenges. I think time to focus on this is probably one of the biggest issues. And I know we've had lots of conversations about that before, that business owners, especially of SMEs, they're really busy. Sometimes they don't have a resource that deals with employee engagement, retention, recruitment, HR, all those sorts of issues, and training as well. So I think having that time, and I think that's what's great about the Scale Up programme, is it's giving these SMEs access to some brilliant resources out there. There's lots of people like us offering support to them. And I think at the moment, for me, that's one of the biggest challenges, is make the time to actually look at the support, make the time to connect and see what's out there to help you, because there is help out there.
There is a lot. There is a lot. And I was guilty as a business owner for ignoring the help that was out there until I needed it. And time was such a huge thing. And one of the biggest shifts for me when I did that work was the delegation. And that's where the time was gained, and that is where the movement started. Because as a business owner of an SME, you've got so many hats on and you're trying to do so many different things. So there's no way you've got time for training, and there's no way you've got time to look at employee retention. But actually, when you work out that you can delegate somebody putting the invoices onto the account system, or somebody processing orders, or printing labels, or packaging, that you've always felt, no, I need to do that because then I know it's getting done right. Once you learn the skills to actually delegate those things, that's when the shift happens.
Definitely.
And that's when the focus for the engagement can happen and the exciting things happen.
And that's where the opportunity comes for retention. Because actually it's about providing opportunities for other people in your team.
Exactly.
And you and I have both been on this journey. As a managing director, I've got a team, and it is letting go is really hard, but actually it provides massive opportunities for other people, and then frees you up to be much more strategic, to be looking ahead, looking at your strategies, your recruitment, your retention, all those sorts of things that are absolutely fundamental at the moment. And actually making some time to think about one of the things that we see, probably one of the barriers, I think, to retention, and it came out actually in a report earlier last year around by McKinsey, looking at why is it people actually are leaving organisations, and one of the big areas was feeling valued. So people were not leaving for more money. They were leaving because they didn't feel valued by their team, by their manager, by the organisation. So actually making up some focused time to think about that is really, really important because we know otherwise people are going to leave.
Yeah, that's it. And one, I think we've had a conversation about it with some delegates that we had on a masterclass recently, where we worded it around it's safe to let go because you're actually empowering your team
totally.
and trusting them. And with that comes that engagement of, oh my gosh, this person trusts me. I feel really empowered to do this. And that's where the difference lies.
And trust it's interesting you touch on that, because we've been running a lot of workshops with teams around high performing teams. And again, that really helps with retention and recruitment and also with engagement. But actually trust is the foundation. And it's amazing how many managing directors and leaders and managers, without realizing, are giving off that message that I don't trust you. And it actually isn't the case. It's just that they're not letting go and they're not empowering people and giving them those opportunities to actually demonstrate how absolutely blooming amazing they are as well.
Yeah, but it is so hard to do, isn't it? You probably experienced it yourself, and I definitely did, not wanting to let go. And
I love delegating now. It's amazing.
Who wouldn't? But yeah, that was honestly and I still say to people now that I can remember the click moment of, I'm not taking this monkey, I'm passing it back, and that I can remember it clear as day. It changes everything once you've got it.
And I think that's probably one of the other real barriers, I think, to what we're talking about around retention is, I think there was some research, and it's quite a while ago now, by CIPD saying 62% of people don't leave organisations, they leave managers. And when you actually talk to managers, they've never had any development. Honestly, the amount of managers I've come across over the last 11 years who go, I don't know what I'm doing. I've been given this job. We call them the accidental manager. They've been really great. They're a real talent in the business. They've been doing a brilliant job at whatever they were doing. We promote them to be a manager. And then it's like it comes with a magic wand that actually gives them the skills to do that, and of course it doesn't. So actually investing in making that time to invest in managers, which again, it does, that bit of time that's going to help them to take themselves out of the day job and think about, what does it even mean to be a manager and a leader? What does that look like? What's expected of me? And then start to build that skills and knowledge to support them on that journey. I would say we've definitely seen a big shift in leadership and management development. We're doing far more of it than we've ever. In fact, we were actually saying the end of the year it'd been double what we did in the previous year. So I think that's a good sign that organisations are recognising actually we need to do something to help our managers.
So would you say that was one of the things that businesses are getting wrong? Is it that it's that accidental, particularly now, I suppose, if they're struggling to recruit a manager, an experienced manager, they're then promoting internally. Is that one of the mistakes that businesses are making?
Definitely. Not investing in leaders and managers, I would say, is probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make, because that manager has got such a fundamental role at so many levels in the business, not just with the people, but in all different aspects. So you'll see a lot of business owners or directors who are really stressed because their managers, they're not delegating, so they're not taking stuff off their managers. So it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy of this just constant nobody getting anywhere, and then that's where we see real issues, and then people leaving, not having time for people, not making time, one-to-ones. It's such a simple thing, such a small amount of time, but so precious to both the manager and that individual as well. So I think people just not making that time to spend with their people, understanding, asking them, what do you need to feel valued? Because that again is interesting. I spoke at an event recently, about 300 people, and asked that question, put your hand up if you can say, hand on heart, what your team need to feel valued at work. 10 people put their hands up out of about 300. And that's shocking that people don't know how to actually help that person to feel valued and appreciated, because everybody's so different. So that's a definite issue.
I guess there's sometimes maybe an assumption that they know, and that can kind of cause well, I thought it was this.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, you didn't actually ask me.
No. And everybody's different. We know that we're all unique human beings.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the golden nugget of a question, one piece of advice for an employer thinking about employee retention.
Gosh. I don't even know what that one piece would be. It's so difficult. There's so many different things, but I think just going back on what we've just said about that trust and connection, that they're talking a lot at the moment about. I know we heard all about the great resignation that was talked about. They're now talking about the great disconnection, and I think that for me is the real biggie: is make that time to connect, have the one-to-ones, just that little bit of informal time once a month, just. For that person, not about the day job, about them, their careers, how they're doing. Just make that time, get to know people and understand them and understand what helps them to feel valued, and then focus on retention. Get a bit of a strategy, and if you need some help, come and talk to Business Scale Up, because there's lots of help there with that.
And I guess as well, the other thing on that is about making it consistent and regular and meaningful, isn't it? I mean,
it's not a one-hit wonder.
No, I definitely learned that it's not just a how are you doing in the corridor, is it? It's a right, let's make time, let's put time in the diary. Particularly now with hybrid working, I think it's important to schedule that time in.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So support for businesses through Business Scale Up.
Loads and loads. Yeah, where's that?
It's never ending.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, there's so much. One of the things that we do to support the Business Scale Up program is we run a workshop. It's like a little bit of a taster session once a month, completely free. All the person has to do is give half a day of the time.
Okay.
And they can come along to that. That's in York. We do that every month. There's one. So, if you can't get to one in January, you can come on the February one. That's definitely worth coming. It just gives people a bit of space just to think and reflect and talk, the things that we've been talking about, and talk with other business owners and leaders as well, to hear their challenges and what kind of things they're doing as well to support. So come along on that. On that, we talk obviously about all the amazing funding that's available. So there's so much there at the moment. Training to support your managers. So all the leadership and management training we do, that's all funded through the Business Scale Up program. We're doing some team events as well. That's really good sometimes, just to get the team, maybe a team of managers away together. That's all funded as well. And again, that can help with that connection that we've been talking about. If you've got a hybrid team, bring them together, allow them to kind of do some work together. All the employee engagement work that we do, which we'll be talking about in the other podcast as well, but lots of employee engagement programs and consultancy as well. Just sometimes it's just about having that little bit of time with somebody like ourselves at Pro Development, where we can just help get them on the right foot and get them started thinking about what they need to do. Because sometimes it's, where do I start?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's really, that's where we can really help. Yeah. Because we can sit down with them, as you do as well, and let's look at where your priorities are. Because we don't have infinite pots of money when we're SMEs. So it's about really focusing what are your priorities, but actually with the funding, it stretches so much further.
It does. And I think that's one thing that's important as well, is understanding the value of actually sitting down and being honest and saying, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do first.
It's such a strength, is that? I always think it's one of the biggest strengths any business owner, leader can do, is to say, I don't know. Because they've got experts on hand to help them with that. And that to me is a real strength to recognise. We don't know it all. I absolutely bring people in to help me with my marketing and sales and all those things. It's no different with people. You just sometimes need that help. So absolutely. Just get it while it's there.
Put your hand up quick.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's the end of part 1.